Take two. Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. Here to do the Fates Warning album rankings video, and then I'll talk about a few other things after that, showing some stuff. So it was really fun to do this series of Fates Warning, our band I love. So I'm doing two rankings. One are just all the Fates Warning albums by name, under that name. One are with the other sort of umbrella bands that are so related. So, okay. Now that I have the setup, I think. There are 13 studio albums under the Fates Warning name, so number 13, 2020's, probably their final album, Long Day, Good Night. You know, the last album, but, you know. Number 12, Night on Brocken, their debut album from 1984. Which is kind of weird. I have the bottom two, I have their last and first album, but they're still good albums, but, you know, I don't like them as much as the others, as it turns out right now. So that was number 12. Number 11, 2013's Darkness in a Different Light. An album that has grown on me, but I still am not as into it as some of the others, but I'm liking it more. Someday it may go up a little bit, but especially with the bonus tracks and everything, Falling Further, and the extended version of Firefly. Yeah, I mean, it's a good record. I'm liking it more now. I'm glad I didn't sleep on it too long. So that was number 11. Number 10, 1994's the final album in their classic lineup, per se, with Frank Aresti and Joe DiBiase, Inside Out. An album that I've listened to a lot, but I don't listen to as much, and I liked it back in the day when I got into them. I remember it still has a lot of good songs, but I just don't like it as much as some of the other records. People say, well, it sounds a lot like Parallels Part 2, which I can totally understand. I'm reading the book, and I'm going to talk about that. But anyway, 1994's Inside Out I have at number 10. Number 9, yep, that 2004, so it was 10 years later, FWX. So they released an album 84, 94, 2004, not 2014 or 2024. I really love this album, even though it's kind of this low. It's toward the bottom and the middle, but I'll go to bat for this album. I've liked it from the get-go. There's only a couple tracks, as I mentioned, I'm not that into, but for the most part, the best songs are really good on this album. I think it's underrated. It's overlooked, and a lot of people just don't care for it nearly as much, but I don't get it. I'm in the book right now, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I'm not far enough into the book yet where they're talking about the pros and cons, or plus and minuses of this album, but I really love it. 2004's FWX, or X, the 10th album, I believe it was. I have it number 9. Number 8. Some people think this is a little sacrilege that I have it this low, but 1986's, I don't want to screw this up, classic metal, probably one of their most influential, if not their most influential album, Awaken the Guardian. The last album with John Arch on vocals as a lead singer. The first, Fates Warning. The first album with Frank Aresti, It's still a classic, but, I mean, people absolutely praise this album to no end. I really enjoy it, but I don't like it maybe as much as some people. But anyway, I have that at number 8. People probably put that number 1. I'd understand that. So number 7, 1989's, I said 88, Perfect Symmetry, the first album with Mark Zonder on drums. I mean, I love this album. This album, talking about influence on musicians, maybe their most influential album on musicians, especially Zonder's drum work. But yeah, compared to some of the other records, I don't quite like it as much. But I've always sort of respected and praised it and gone back to it. And for what it is, it achieved a lot of what I thought they were trying to do with it. So, Perfect Symmetry from 1989, have it number 7. All right. Number 6. Doing this wrong. Screw this up. I probably would have put this a little higher a few years ago, but I still love this record a lot. 1985's The Spectre Within, the second album. The last album with Victor Arduini. But I love this. From the get-go when I told this story, I've always loved this album, and it's always sort of held, it's got Epitaph especially in The Apparition. So 1985's The Spectre Within. Even just the artwork, this may be my favorite album artwork of any Fates Warning album. It's that Jonas, whatever his name is, who did 2 or 3 other album covers, including A Pleasant Shade of Grey for them. So he also did the Flower Kings, The Rainmaker, and a couple others. That, not the most well-known artist, but I think the artwork, I can't deny that part of the reason why this album has always stuck out to me in a sense is because of the artwork. So that was number 6, Spectre. All right, now we're to the top 5. So let's screw this up. Number 5, 1991, sort of most commercial, most catchy, most, in some ways addictive album, Parallels. Their most commercially known, visibly known, the classic lineup in some ways. Parallels, number 5. All right, number 4, the t-shirt I'm wearing today, 1988's No Exit, the album that obviously saw the debut of Ray Alder, the final album with drummer Steve Zimmerman. Love this record. I mean, the Ivory Gates of Dreams are a lot of the reason why. I love this album the way I love Rush's Hemispheres. They have the one piece that's so damn good, it makes the whole album so much better. Even though for some reason I'd put Parallels and Perfect Symmetry ahead of it in some ways. But there's just something so magical about that piece. And the first side, or the A and B sides of this record, I mean, there's not a track I don't like. And even though Ray's vocals are the way they are, it still has its charm. It's like what they were going for, they totally achieved it. So, number 4, 1988's No Exit. Of course, I got the picture disc and the other vinyl. That was a really big deal to find that vinyl. So, number 3, yep. 2016's, late career highlight, but for a lot of people, Theories of Flight. Yeah, great record. Still can listen to it. Of course, it has the epic that I love so much. It's not a huge epic, but it's like 9 or 10 minutes. 10 minutes and 15 seconds. The light and shade of things. But whole record is great, Theories of Flight from number 3 on the Fates Warning album rankings list. Number 2, 2000, the year 2000's album Disconnected, which, at the time it was pretty damn well received, but I think over time, unfortunately, it hasn't aged as well for some people, because I still think this is an absolute masterpiece in a lot of ways. Of course, Still Remains, the epic, and Something from Nothing, those two especially, but every song has that energy and that flow and the riff. There's things I love about every track. There's moments that I look forward to so much, and it doesn't drag or wear out its welcome at all, so... The second album in a row they worked with, and the last one they worked with Terry Brown, actually. So Terry Brown had a lot to do with how good this album came out. So number 2, the year 2000's album Disconnected. And then, of course, not really that surprising, number 1, 1997's, One Piece, masterpiece, F you to the industry and to the, the music and the whole, trying to get popular and make money and succeed with the record labels. Pleasant Shade of Grey, it is a perfect shade of gray. It's a masterpiece. It's their finest achievement in a lot of ways. I love so many of these albums, but still this thing I can't deny is, even though I don't listen to that much, it's more of a mood record, a little bit like Marillion's Brave. It's just so well crafted. So, all right. So now I'm gonna pause and I'll just chop this, I'll edit this. I'm gonna do the rankings with the other records. All right, here we go again. Now here's the list with the other albums I reviewed. So I'll go through this a little quicker. So it's 16 albums total, which is really more proper. And they've been a band since '84, a little bit before that, since '84's first album. So you do the rate, it's almost 40. It's like 38 years or 36 years or whatever, 84 to 2020. So 16 is still Long Day, Good Night. 15, as much as it pains me to say this, revisiting, is Sympathetic Resonance from Arch Mathews from 2011. Why that is, I kind of revisited it. It kind of, the songs, the guitar riffs, and the songwriting is just difficult to digest. It could go up. If I would have done this list 5 years ago, or when it came out, it would have been somewhere in the middle probably, but anyway, that's 15. 14, I have Night on Brocken, the debut, as I've had, so that's not that different, of course. Why that's ahead of Sympathetic Resonance? Well, I know that album better, and it has more flow. I enjoy listening to it. That comes down to it. So that was 14. Number 13, like the year 2013 came out, Darkness in a Different Light, as I had that in the same place. Now, I think easily could probably go up, but, you know, I need to still continue to revisit it after kind of dismissing it. Number 12, 1994's Inside Out. I forgot to show my Arch Mathews Sympathetic Resonance. I have that on vinyl, but anyway. So number 11, 2019's Arch Mathews album Winter Ethereal, which, you know, again, an album that the songwriting's a little better, but it's still, I struggle with it to a point that I would probably have put it up a little higher, but also a product of I listened to it, liked it during the year, but I haven't gone back to it since. And I have like this urge to go back to it, but I think I like this a little more than Sympathetic Resonance at least, but you know, time may be more kind in terms of my taste for some of these other records that I'm putting in here, but yeah, number 11, which isn't the bottom of the list, it's in the lower half, but, you know, Winter Ethereal from 2019 from Arch Mathews. Alright. Number 10, 2004's FWX. So let me get that on vinyl, of course. Number 9, 1986, Awaken the Guardian. Again, showing the records. Number 9. See, again, the people that a lot of Faith Warning fans still hold that as your number 1 or number 2 easily. It's like Marillion's Clutching at Straws. In a way, it's the last album with the original singer. That's where it kind of has that in common with it. Number 8, of course, 1989's Perfect Symmetry. I always think it's like 88. I always think that. I always think No Exit was 87 and Perfect Symmetry was 88, but it was actually the opposite. It was like 1 year after that. No Exit was 88 and Perfect Symmetry was 89. So number 7. So this is really just barely in the halfway mark, or Spectre Within from 1985, my favorite John Arch album. Imagine what they would have done with Arch with some of those later albums. I don't know what they would have sounded like. So that was number 7. Number 6, 1991's Parallels. I think at one point I probably considered like when I first got into the band, Parallels was my favorite because it was the most like sort of Dream Theater and Rush to me, and it was more accessible. So, all right, number 5, No Exit. So that was number 4 on the actual Fates Warning list. But number 5, 1988's the Ray Alder debut, first vocal album, No Exit. And I'm wearing the T-shirt today. There it is. I could like go and show the back of it. It just says that. But number 4, 2016's incredible record, Theories of Flight, my album of the year from 2016. Which I needed to do more of them. When I do these, I'll talk about that in a minute, hopefully. I want to always continue to look at those albums of the year list when I'm talking about each individual album. I think it's good perspective. So, number 3, the year 2000's Disconnected. Love this album a ton. I need to get it on vinyl. Or the one I want on the vinyl the most right now. Number 2, the John Arch EP, A Twist of Fate. Absolute incredible. Even though it's only 2 tracks, it feels longer. Love this record, and it's why I still think I've always said this is how progressive metal is supposed to sound. I know John Arch's voice isn't accessible. When he came back, he sounded more accessible in modern production than he did even on the first 3 records. But yeah, the 2 tracks are just, they're so good. I've listened to them I've listened to this thing probably 150 times, and I'm still not sick of it. I still appreciate it. It's like listening to Bohemian Rhapsody or Stairway to Heaven or something like that, or a Logical Song by Supertramp. I still enjoy it. I've not gotten sick of anything about this. Relentless and Cheyenne. It really speaks to the sort of rebel, person in me who's like, the underdog. So, and of course, still, as I posted on the actual Fates Warning list, out of the 16 albums, the number 1, The Top of the Mountain, is still A Pleasant Shade of Gray from 1997. So, give me your top 13 or however many you want to rank. The gentleman chimed in, thanks for the comment, posted his Arch list. What are your top Arch albums, top Fates Warning albums, even if it's just top 5 to 10, or give me the whole list. I'd love to see that. So a couple more tidbits I wanted to include. So in looking for, doing a lot of research, I believe I have Away with Words. Maybe someday I'll find that. It's in a box down in the basement where I have to go through that stuff. I've been meaning to go through it. My cats are trying to get around there. I have Jim Mathews' first album, though. The second one, Away with Words, I believe features Mark Sonder and Kevin Moore, maybe? It's a couple different people, but yeah, this one came out in 1993. It's all acoustic. It's a big different change of pace, but you can hear why my head's cut off, of course, on this video. I didn't intend for that to happen. You can understand why moments in the Ivy Gate of Dreams happen and others where they came from. Even some of the other earlier stuff, like some of the stuff at least off of Awaken the Guardian. You can hear where all those acoustic passages might also blended to him writing his own solo music. And Away with Words, if I recall, is a little more layered. I think there's some piano, like I said. I think Kevin Moore might be on it. This has Eugene Friesen and Charlie Bisharat, who's a violin. Bisharat. I know maybe they used him on Chasing Time, because he's mentioned in the book. But anyway, first impressions from 1993. I have the Chasing Time compilation too, which has some bonus tracks. I'm not gonna. It's probably in here. Well, I do have that. I don't know if the booklet. I don't know where that went. It's in here somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. I think. But I mean, it doesn't. I don't have the track list to show or artwork to show. But I think I did show it in a previous video. So I remember when I first got into the band. Yeah, of course I've got the OSI stuff, which I've showed my OSI vinyl. If I got the first OSI album, well, maybe I don't have Chasing Time in here. Might be on a different... No, there it is. Chasing Time. Yeah, you can see I brought it into Best Buy and listening while I was selling stereos at Best Buy. The date on that. What does the date say on that? This book. 12/13/97. That tells you when it was. December 13th, 97. So, but the other thing I have, it's kind of a rarity. You can find it, I think, on Discogs and eBay once in a while, is the tribute album, Through Different Eyes, a tribute to Fates Warning, which came out around the year 2000 or 2001, I want to say. Maybe it was late 90s. I think I found out about this not through Fates Warnings, 99, okay. But, and I'll just mention this in a bit, but the list of bands, it has Spiral Architect, who, their debut album came out the same year, the year after, Skeptic's Universe, doing Prelude to Ruin. Steel Prophet has some connections. Myodome, people know. Planet Sarcasm, I think this is the most. And Primary, I've tried to check out some of their music, but Primary did Outside Looking In. Planet Sarcasm did A Pleasant Shade of Grey Part 2. Myodome did The Strand. Steel Prophet did The Apparition. Some of these other bands, Vendetta did Monument. But the big, and it's the second to last track, Wolverine's another band that I know. They did A Pleasant Shade of Grey Part 12, and that's the one where they did some growling at the end, the last track on A Pleasant Shade of Grey. But the biggest highlight for me is the band Soundscape and their cover of Fata Morgana, where they use synthesizers. And Soundscape's a band that I first heard about in Metal Edge. It was someone I was on the old Metalhead directory, and you'd pen pal with different women. And I talked about liking Fates Warning or progressive stuff in Dream Theater. This is in the mid-90s. That was right around the time I was just obsessed with it, of course. And she mentioned two bands that had been written up in Metal Edge to me. I remember I called her, or she just wrote about it. But Soundscape and then the band Visionary, which I bought one of their Visionary's albums. They had a second CD I'd never heard. I liked Visionary. At some point, I liked this album. This is Soundscape's debut album, Discovery. Then I got really into it about 2 years later. I got obsessed with it. And while they don't sound exactly like Fates Warning, this is a 76-minute opus that came out. They're from Connecticut, too. And they played the Power Med Festival, which the founder just passed away, unfortunately. Like 96, 97, 98, or 97, 98, 99. And then they played at Prague Day. They did a second album that I loved, and it's one of my favorite records from the year 2009. It got released after not being able to be mixed properly after a decade, called Grave New World. But they also did some other, they've done some other stuff. The singer, Rob Thorne or Rob Volpentesta, also sings with Sacred Oath, who are a band that's been around basically as long as Fates Warning. They're not prog, though. They're more just kind of, not power metal, but anyway, if you like Fates Warning, if you've never heard this, if you can find it, it might be on YouTube, I don't know. At least the Fata Morgana. But seek it out if you really are a Fates Warning fan. And ironically, this came out 97, the same year that Pleasant Shade of Grey came out. It's like if I'm putting my favorite albums that year, it's like this is number 3. I mean, for one point, I consider this my favorite album. I was trying to write a novel based on it, Discovery. So, all right. So one last Fates Warning tidbit, or and I will say that I'm getting through the book. I'm almost done reading this book. I'm in the section on Run Disconnected right now. So I will try to do at least more detailed, somewhat review. I know that Pete Pardo did it last week. I think it was Destination Onward from Jeff Wagner. In fact, this has gotten bent enough little damage here. I might buy a second copy, but as you can see, it's creased there. But it's a really good book. I mean, there's stuff in here I didn't know. A lot of stuff that I'm not sure they fully addressed, like the Pleasant Shade of Grey part. I was hoping they would talk more and more about what it's about. I mean, they talked about what it's about, but not in more detail. Anyway, but so I'm like 80 pages away from finishing this, and then I'll try to do some kind of review. But other than that, the Fates Warning stuff is kind of to bed, other than these Kings of Mercia, the album that comes out, I think it's this week. And then, of course, the A to Z album that came out a few weeks ago. But, Fates Warning's a band I've loved for 25 years, or whatever it's been, 27 years? It was 95, so it'll be 27 years. It's been fun revisiting their catalog again, I hope people got something from it. It seems like some people have found these videos helpful. So, I thought I grabbed it, but I didn't grab it. I thought I grabbed it. I'm gonna, hold on. Where is it? Oh, yeah. So, as I mentioned, I got a couple, sort of shorter or near future goals to do on videos for when I have time. My work schedule might be changing slightly in that I'm not going to be as committed to doing, to going into the office every 3 days of the week. So it's going to be, if there's bad weather, there's snow coming down this winter, bad roads, I can just stay home and work, I guess. So I'm probably still going to go into work, so I can't make videos every day. But hopefully it won't be just on Mondays and Tuesdays when I have time off. This Friday I am off. It's my anniversary with my wife, but we're going to go to Stillwater, but we're gonna have someone watching the house though. But this Friday, I'm gonna I might be able to make another video, but maybe tomorrow too. But what's on the docket next is King's X, the King's X discography, which their catalog is pretty similar in size, and they just put out their new album, which I'll include that. And I have an actual vinyl / music collection video I want to do that I've made, but I stopped and I didn't want to refilm it. I need to refilm it, but I got the new King's X CD, 3 Sides of One. I think it's their 13th also, so they have almost an identical size in terms of numbers catalog as, because their last album was XV, but it wasn't their 15th. It was their 15th if you include live albums and compilations. But they have, that it'd be very similar. We'll see how quickly it will take. Also, to go along with the King's X discography I want to do, I have a biography of sorts, because they have a documentary coming out, but they have a biography of sorts that I bought a couple of years ago that was, I don't know how chronologically it is sort of structured, but I never read through it. I just kind of paged through it. So I was thinking I want to try to sit down and try reading that once I'm done with this. Maybe do a review of that. But they have a documentary also coming out, but and my other thought is I want to start, if I have the time, again, if I'm home more and make more videos, start doing, I want to do something on the sort of genre, the progressive, alternative rock, whatever you want to call that. I might do something along the lines of what, the Prog Corner has done, where he made his top 100. I think a lot of that was driven by a lot of the comments and votes, per se, but, I don't know if it'll be ranked or not, but I can do like a 50 artists or maybe 100 artists, and I'll just probably show one album. And I might start doing, there's another idea for a video, like with Spotify, start on the Dream Theater forums, what albums are missing, like all the Neil Morse Spock Spirit albums are missing, a bunch of Oceanside albums are missing, and all of Vennard's catalog. What albums are not on Spotify, Apes and Androids and the River Empires, that I'd like. I could just do a video and do 10 albums or 10 whatever, 10 artists. So there's a few other ideas I have. I'd like to start doing some of these other catalogs, Dredge, Savatage. One of the commenters talked about Savatage and Voivod. Voivod I'm not that versed on. And Psychotic Waltz, I have a couple of their CDs. I need to find them. I think they're in my basement. But so there's some other stuff planned after this Fates Warning catalog. I mean, King's X is my next focus. I never did the Tea Party either, so there's a lot of bands and artists that I've never talked about. I've not talked about in depth. You know, a band like Dredge or Ours would be easy to do because their catalogs are so small. More in depth. I did one individual video about them, but to do one album by album series of videos, I could easily see myself doing for them. And Ocean Size for that. Ocean Size or Mew or Pure Reason Revolution. It would be pretty easy for me to do that. I don't know. The longer ones take longer, but they're more satisfying, you know. I could end up doing Rush or, you know, doing a series of Rush or Yes or Genesis, but I wouldn't be able to cover every record, I don't think. I don't know. Jethro Tull is included. Renaissance. There's a whole long list. It's like if I had the time, I didn't have to work. And there was really legitimate interest, which I still obviously question with the small audience that this channel finds. I do thank anyone for watching and finding this channel. If you have not subscribed, just go ahead and subscribe. You have nothing to lose, you know. Check out my channel, and I don't post 5 videos a day like some channels do. If you don't find anything on, then you could just, you know, just check it out, because I know that a lot of people just don't find my channel. If they knew about my channel, they probably would. Like, I did a Better Call Saul review, and it found a lot of people. No one commented, of course, but it's weird how things that are like buzzword popular things, like a Rush or a Pink Floyd or a Zeppelin, you know, will find the audience on YouTube, whereas Fates Warning or stuff that's more obscure than Fates Warning, like Apes and Androids, nobody finds. It's the frustration. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like I said, if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you next time.